is Profile. And make sure you keep it locked to YouKnowIGotSoul.com.
First of all, I just want to thank you guys for your time. You know, we definitely appreciate you guys, appreciate the group's history, and the music you've given us in the past and will continue to give us. So.
Well, man, appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate you having us. For having us.
For sure. Want to kind of start the interview by I know you guys are back with a new evolution of Profile, but before we get to that, I know your guys' last album was the independent release you had years ago. I think it was 2004. Kind of catch us up on what you guys have been through in the past, I guess, 10 years or so up until now.
Well, this is Space. What we've been doing lately is, what we decided we would go off and just venture off and to see what other options we had as far as performing was concerned. We continue to grow as producers, songwriters, singers, songwriters, instrumentalists. We just continue to hone our craft together and pull things together is what we continue to do. And then when the opportunity came along for us to do a show with Joe and Case, and we saw that a lot of other groups were getting back into it. So it just seemed like an excellent opportunity for us to come back together, and the people in our city were so excited, and we got so much love from everybody. So we wanted to continue doing what we love to do. We wanted to continue doing it with one another, because while we were on our own, we had a chance to build our weaknesses and build on our strengths. So now what we've done, we've evolved into a more a better machine, if I could say that. We've evolved. We've evolved into musicians. We've evolved into better songwriters, better musicians. Each individual member of our group plays an instrument. And that's something that we like to display during our shows and different things like that. We do our acoustic set. Navajo is a great keyboardist. LJ is a keyboardist. He's also a guitarist. Navajo's a percussionist. Hershey's one of the best engineers that you can see, and he's a natural bass player. He's a natural with a bass guitar. I'm like a rhythm guitar player, and we bring all of that together, and we go out there and we just see what's available and turn people on to something different, a different sound and a stronger sound from our group.
Right. And you guys have got the new single out, I'm in Love, and I know it's been a while since people have heard new music from you guys, so what is going to be the sound? You mentioned this is an evolution of the group. What is going to be your guys, what's the sound going to be like coming from you guys?
It'll pretty much be just music, you know what I mean? We decided to not hone ourselves into one category. You know, we want to venture out. You know, it's a wonderful thing to have a record, the Billboard charts for R&B, a record for pop, a record for rock. We just want to try something different to step out above the norm. You know what I mean? And just aim to do good music. It might be our music. It come off a lot of vibes, you know, sometimes, and it just might come the way it comes.
Right.
And with that being said, it's like that might be a certain kind of record. We're feeling a certain kind of way another day, and that might be a totally different kind of record. So we just want to give people good music, man. What we're doing is just doing good music, and what we feel we love to hear. Period.
Right. And something interesting you mentioned, you guys were on the verge of becoming household names. You guys had 2 records on Motown, and you know, a lot of them were fan favorite records on there, and it's just like it didn't get the recognition it deserved. What do you feel like held it back from really getting that attention that the music deserved?
Well, I want to say that we think that Motown Records is a great label. It's going down in history to be one of the greatest black labels in the history of our time. But at that time, the labels were going through different changes. There were different shifts going on. There were different things happening in the industry. There were a bunch of boy bands out, at different R&B groups out at the time. And a lot of different things were happening. Jobs were switching over. People were taking over companies. Companies were shutting down. and it was just, we want to say that it was more timing than it was anything else. We'll just say that that's more or less what it seemed like to us.
Right.
We had a great team, people who wanted to work the record. They wanted to do different things. There were certain markets that we wanted to go into, but they hadn't hired anybody to be in that particular market yet. So what happened to the record? You know, it's just one of those things that happens. It's life. It wasn't anything else that we could credit that to. It was just some things happened. It was our time. It was meant for us to go through what we went through. We learned a lot, and that is the reason why we're able to bring so much more to the table, because we learned different levels of professionalism. We learned different level things about marketing and promotion, and what type of managers and people we want to work for. And that's a good thing, and it's going to play as a strength to us at a time like right now.
Right. Well, I always love to get the history, you know, behind the music and how groups originally came up. So, you know, what's the story of how you guys originally were discovered, I believe, by Kedar Massenberg, and how did you get signed to Motown originally?
Okay, LJ, you want to take that one?
No, you go ahead, man.
Okay, well, this is what we, when we originally got together, this was way back before 1990. We were hanging out, and Hershey ran into LJ on the basketball court, because we had run into LJ singing in a different group, and we was like, you know, this group sounds great. You know, this lead singer here was just killing. He blew our mind. And we had an opportunity to meet up with him on a basketball court in passing, and we mentioned that we were getting ready to start a rehearsal. He followed us home to rehearsal, and he's been down with us ever since then. Then we had just some, you know, a lot of good things happened. We caught the attention of a local promoter here by the name of Mr. Reggie Smalls, and Reggie Smalls was, you know, driven. He believed in our talent. He believed in our group. He thought that all we needed was an opportunity to be seen. So he took it upon himself to take us to Texas to meet with Erykah Badu. And when we got up there to meet with Erykah Badu, she in turn, her people turned us on to some people in New York City. So we began to travel to New York City. We drove to New York City a few times. We met up with a few people. We met Sandra St. Victor, who was an artist on Warner Brothers Records at the time. And when we met up with her, she connected us to other people. Kedar Massenberg, she was a good friend of hers, and she heard about our group. She listened to us sing. She set up a meeting with us. And Kedar Massenberg, we went to his office. He said he wanted to hear us sing. We sang for him. And the rest,
We sung for him over the phone.
yeah, well, we did sing for him over the phone. He heard us sing over the phone, and then we sang for him live, but we impressed him over the phone. So he was like, man, let me work some things out. So he got with our people. He said, listen, I want this deal to take place in a matter of a week, you know. And we came back home to Shreveport, Louisiana. Within the week, we were signed to Kedar Entertainment.
Right.
Along with Erykah Badu, D'Angelo, A+. Big Bub was also an artist on that label at the time.
Chico DeBarge.
And Chico DeBarge was over there as well. So he was in the middle of that, but in the middle of him creating that label with Erykah Badu and coming back with Chico, and in the middle of that, they shut the label down. Which brings me back to my point on what happened with our record.
Yeah.
That label got shut down, and he ended up taking over Motown Records, which meant that he didn't have the handful of artists that he had at Kedar Entertainment anymore. Now you're responsible for Brian McKnight, Raphael Sadiq, Erykah Badu, 702, Dwayne Wiggins, and the list goes on and on. Boyz II Men, Profile, The New Temptation, Smokey Robinson. All of these artists are now under the umbrella of Motown Records. So now we had to manage our way around all of those other great artists that were on Motown Records at the time.
Right.
So we got out there, we did our first album, which was entitled the Whispers in the Dark album that Joe executive produced. And after we'd done that record, a lot of people enjoyed the record, but like I said, that label that Kigard was working on had gotten shut down, and a lot of people from the label were fired and positions were gone. But our record still came out, even though there weren't some people in place to work the record.
Right.
By the time our second record album came out, we were getting ready to record the second album, so we sat down in Kidard's office, and they played this song called Liar. And he said, what do you guys think? We said, man, we love the record. They sent us over to the studio. It was either that evening or it was early the
it was that day.
It was that day. It was that day. They sent us over there, and we recorded that song. We got it recorded. And before we knew it, that song became like it was an instant hit. You know, it debuted at #1. You know, so all of the work we had done with the first album, we had to really get out there. We had to really grind. We had to really work the circuit in order for people to remember us, that we had those records, so they were good records. They just weren't sticking with the public.
Right.
But we got a chance to have the experience of putting a record out and having to really work hard and work a record. But when we did the second album, it was like, okay, we went to some of the same places that we had went to on the first album, but every time we went, it was a sold-out audience, it was a sold-out crowd. And by the end of that album, that's when the whole shift in R&B and hip-hop had taken place. We didn't hear from many other R&B artists anymore. We didn't hear from these other great R&B quartets that were out at the time. And we hadn't heard from a lot of them, including myself, like probably up until a time like right now, when groups are just starting to come back.
Right. Wow. Loving the history you're sharing. I know, my readers love hearing about the history and the stories behind the music, so this is great. One thing I wanted to ask you about, actually, something you mentioned, is that's Joe executive producing the first album. A lot of people don't even realize that. I know he had a part in the second album as well, but overall, what was his role in the creation of the first album?
Well, this is Urgent speaking. A lot of the great melodies and the songs and stuff that you heard, that came out of the mind of Joe. And he did like more than half of the album. And then we ventured out to get a few other songs from different companies like Noontime and, a bunch of different other companies. But Joe was the one to really put his hands on Profile to just, about recording and what makes a record feel good and different things like that. So the biggest part of our background definitely came from Joe as far as learning, how to record and different things like that.
Wow. All right, cool.
I like to add this part of it because Joe was also being managed by the CEO of our label. He on Mattenberg was also managing Joe, so it was perfect. We were big Joe fans, and Joe came to the table, and it was just a great situation.
Right.
And that's kind of more insight, a little bit more insight as into how that whole thing came about.
Cool. Now, just want to bring it back to the present. So, you guys have got the new single out, and what are you guys looking to do next? How's the album coming along?
We're still in the recording process right now. We haven't totally completed everything, but the song that we put out is kind of like a film.
Right.
We put it out there at the beginning and starting to take off, and that's just a beautiful thing. It lets us know that we still have time to put a presence out there, and people still want R&B music, and people are still, kind of longing for Profile, which is a great blessing for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to continue to go forward, and like Navajo had said a little while earlier, we're going to venture off into so many different other genres of music.
Wow.
So we're still like almost at the completion process, but we're still going.
Right. So, are you guys looking to do this project independently, or are you looking to, get a deal? Like, what are you looking to do there?
Right now, it's looking like we're going to try the independent route right now just to see what's going on.
Right.
We know right now through social media, through radio, through a lot of the fans that's just wanting, Profile to come back from looking at YouTube videos to some of everything else, and just the amount of love that the fans have been showing us has just been tremendous, and that's a blessing.
Right.
Because a lot of other people don't have that same, thing. So for us to even be relevant age is a blessing.
Right.